All right, everyone, welcome into today's show, Slimy Yet Satisfying. As always, Dan Hafner joining you here. Appreciate you guys coming on today. So, I know it's been out for a little while now, but if you guys haven't seen the, I don't want to call it a live action version, the updated Lion King, whatever the hell it is, whether it's live, whether it's cinematic, I don't know what the term is for it, but the new Lion King. And, the Lion King, I'll be honest, straight up, Lion King was my favorite Disney movie of all time. No questions asked. That's the best. Like that's the classic story. There's so much from that I could talk about on this show, and I probably will eventually. But today I wanted to talk about the scene there where Timone and Pumbaa had, adopted Simba. He had run away. The whole thing had happened with Mufasa and everything, and they got to him where he asked if they had food, and they uncover that log, and he looks at it like, ugh, right? And then he finally eats it, and he goes, oh, slimy, yet satisfying. And I thought of this, and I just wanted to come on here and kind of compare this to the game of life that we all play every single day, right? It's pretty obvious, slimy yet satisfying. The things that we want to do, the things that, stand in our way are usually slimy things. Not in the sense of like shady, gross, weird things, but, slimy in the context of you don't want to do them, right? They're difficult, they're backbreaking, they're just not desirable things, not something that, makes you seek comfort and seek comfortability, right? It's a quote-unquote slimy thing where it's just like, your brain's like, well, we could always just watch Netflix instead. I mean, we really don't have to do that, blah, 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 all these different excuses, all these stories, right? And yet, what happens when we push through those things? We end up with a satisfying result. I mean, 99% of the time, right? We end up with a satisfying result. Why do people have such a conquering feeling after they get done running a 5K or do a Tough Mudder or pass a test in school or something, right? Because you went through the slimy shit, the stuff that you really didn't want to do, but you had to do in order to get the result that you wanted. So it's slimy, yet satisfying, right? And in the context of Simba, it was just literally a slimy bug that he was eating, but yet it satisfied his hunger. He was hungry. He hadn't eaten anything. He was passed out. He was a long way from home. And he needed a hunger to be filled. And satisfaction and success is a hunger for all of us. We are success-driven creatures, right? Like, whether you think so or not, whether you think you're addicted to success or not, you are. And this took me a long time to realize in my own life. After you screw up so many times, you try so many things and you fail, your self-confidence starts to go down, but you start to realize that you are, every single one of us, we are wired for success and for satisfaction. Because if we weren't, we would be dead. Like, plain and simple, straight up, we would be dead. We are striving to get food in our bellies. We're striving to have our needs met. Shelter, clothing, food, all these things, right? So we are literally hardwired for success. So there's this constant hunger that is present in all of us, you included. You're a human being. Whether you like it or not, that you are success driven, right? So your brain, even though it does seek comfort a lot of the time, like 99% of the time, it's like we need to preserve ourselves. We need to do what's safe, what's comfortable. We don't need to put ourselves at risk. We have something that's good right now. Maybe you're in a place where you're happy with your body, you're happy with your money, you're happy with a relationship, and you don't want to take a risk for the avoidance of losing those things. It's just natural, right? But that's precisely when you do, because you stop, or I shouldn't say you stop, you start ignoring that hunger for success and satisfaction. You start ignoring it because it's not deep anymore. It's not eating you alive. And it's easy to ignore. Like it's an easy trap to fall into. Me in my life, I'm not there right now, but I've been there. So I'm speaking from experience. I got to a place where things were good, where, life was pretty good, honestly. I had enough money in the bank. I, had at the time she was my girlfriend, now my wife. We had a job that I really, really liked. Like, things were all right. And then everything kind of went to shit. And I started to realize that I got lazy. Like, truth, just straight up truth. I got lazy in my pursuit of success. I slacked off. I missed a step. And I've seen a lot of other people have this happen to them in life too. And what I've come to realize, it's not something to beat yourself up about. It's just something to have self-awareness about. And be like, you know what? Yeah, I took my eye off the ball. I got lazy with that slimy feeling, right? Like, I didn't have to go through the slimy stuff anymore, so I didn't. I chose to not do that. But it's precisely in those moments when you have to do that the most. It's easy to say, like, when you have nothing, when your back's against the wall, that you'll go through the slimy shit to get the result. Because you have no other choice. Like, you're not a hero for doing that. It's a lot harder when things are good, when things are, pretty steady, when you really have something to lose, to actually willingly put yourself through that slimy shit again, because you don't have to. Like, you don't have to put yourself into a place of that to survive, right? But what I'm going to have you consider is that you still have to do that shit, or you're going to eventually reap the seeds of laziness. It happened in my life. It's still happening in my life to some extent. But the important thing to remember is just what I said. You have to be willing to push through that slimy stuff, to willingly sit back, reflect, and be like, you know what? Am I really going through the slimy stuff right now to get that satisfaction? Or is the satisfaction, is that need fulfilled, so I'm moving on to other things? And that's a cue, right? Like, we've talked about cues before. Like, when fear as a cue comes up, or as a feeling comes up, it's a cue that you're on the right path, right? Now, when the feeling of satisfaction doesn't come up anymore, which is an opposite cue, right? It's something that's not being cued. You have to be able to be self-aware enough to notice, like, hey, I've felt satisfied for quite some time. Like, I need to spice things up a bit, right? Like, I need to get out there and get my hands dirty again. Get in that slimy and that filthy work, right? Like, whatever that involves for you. I'm not talking like literally going out and rolling in a mud hole, or like going to, work on a farm or anything. Like, the stuff that you don't want to do. The early rise and grind, the tedious work, the boring work that you had put off in a business or a career or a relationship or whatever it might be, your body especially, like getting back to deadlifting, getting back to squatting, getting back to the leg extensions, like the shit that's not sexy, but gets the job done, right? So my question for you today, as we wrap up today, is there an area of your life? Is there an area of your life where you are avoiding the slimy work, or you have been, you've moved past the slimy work and you need to get back into it to get that feeling of satisfaction back, right? That's my question for you. What area of your life is that prevalent in? And I would love to hear your comments for this. So head over to runyourday.run, post in the comments section below this show, and I'd love to hear, what area of your life, it doesn't matter what it is, just post it up, comment below, share it with everybody, and, definitely help engage with others, and we're actually going to start keeping track of that and start giving you guys rewards for commenting, posting, liking, doing all these different things. And we really want to start building a community here. So head over to runyourday.run. Go under this if you're not there already. What area of your life did you stop doing the slimy work in? We want to hear from you guys. Okay? All right, my friends, that's going to wrap up the show. As always, thank you all for joining. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.
Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, where our goal is to expand your focus and perspective on life. This is your daily dose of motivation, mindfulness, and so much more. And now, here to help you take your day back, your host, Dan Hafner.